Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to another great edition of Court Call with Ronnie Nunn. Ronnie, the second round's been kind of interesting. Not too many close games, so the referees might have been hiding in the shadows a little bit.
Well, the good news is they're in the shadows enjoying the shade because, actually, when you have games like that, you stay on them to make sure you're consistent. You recognize one team just doesn't have it together. But by the same token, it's a relaxing thing. You're not dealing with the high pressure of a tight score and on every possession.
Well, let's jump into our first call then, because we have game one between the Clippers and the Thunder in the third quarter, and both Pablo and Sean asked us what was happening here with the shot clock and why it ended up resetting. Ronnie, what do you see here? What do you think happened?
Well, the news here is that during this entire play, when the shot, goes up, when the shot actually goes up, or the deflection goes to back court, there was a reaction by the table, and they reset the shot clock. And apparently, none of the three officials noticed it. And you know why? Because the official that was near the midcourt line, who usually checks clocks out, is involved with the play, so he doesn't get a chance to see the clock. And then no one else does. And then where does the pass go? To another outside official in the slot position or center position in college, and he doesn't see the play. So all of a sudden, the shot clock is reset unknowingly. Now, on every reset of a clock, or every chance that a clock could be reset unnecessarily, the officials have to look at the game clock. The game clock is undeniable. And when you know where the game clock is on every possession, every rebound, every throw-in, then you go to the 24-second clock and see it begin to count down from wherever it is or what it is. The clock started at 10:29, and the play was whistled at 10:04, and that certainly is 1 second more than the 24-second clock would allow. So there was a shot clock violation. Problem is, you can't go to replay unless you see it and stop the game yourself and say, I don't think that ball hit the clock, the rim, and I need to go and check it. That would have been the time. Once the other occurred and the foul occurred, you're dead in the water, according to the new rules.
Now, could they have, at the moment the save at the half court happened and the shot clock reset erroneously, would that have been the time to quickly blow the whistle and interrupt the play, or are they not allowed to interrupt the play on that?
They could interrupt the play, and the more advanced and poised officials will interrupt the play if they don't think a play is going right to the hoop, for example. Let's say that pass, all of a sudden the guy catches it and boom, he's taking a jumper, or he's going directly to the hoop. Because by the way, there was time on the clock anyway. It was the extra passing and everything that went on. And sometimes the coaches or the players have a sense there's no reset. And if an official feels uncomfortable with too many people talking about the reset, they can stop it. Mm-hmm. And there's a time to stop it. And they had that time, but they didn't recognize it. And probably after the play, there was some talk about it, possibly.
Well, your buddy of mine, Russell Westbrook, kind of made it worse because he shot a ball that it wouldn't have mattered. But because he shot an air ball from three, that would have been the thing. Had it hit the rim, then we wouldn't be here talking right now. But that I would be less. My day would be less good without you being here to talk about that play. So I'm glad that all happened. Great, great insight into that one. And unfortunately, it hurt them because they got a foul and the free throws. Let's move on to our next play, because we have, in the same game in the third quarter, Blake Griffin posted up Russell Westbrook, and there was all sorts of things happening with guys falling down, and there was not one whistle. So Marvin wants to know what's happening here and why there wasn't a whistle blown.
Yeah, good thinking by Marvin, of course, by Pablo before on these situations. We have a back down situation, and back downs, when I was a director, I put it into three moments of contact. The first moment is sometimes subtle. The second moment proves that subtle is making progress. The second contact. And the third contact, subtle is no longer subtle. There's been a path here, and you're going against the defender who is holding his position. But in this case, something happens on the first contact. And really the culprit in this is Westbrook. He goes up forward into a back down move, and then he flops backwards. So he really is a fouler, and I would have liked to maybe have had a foul. Or if you're not going to call a foul, it's certainly a flop. The problem is now, as Griffin notices, I now can step over and take a play or a shot. As he goes up, Westbrook, who's falling down, embellishing his situation, He goes up, Griffin shoots a shot, and he comes down and he falls all over him. You know, every shooter, even whether it's in the post or the perimeter or on a drive, must be able to come down legally and continue play. When he comes down, he's falling over a player, and it's a shot, and it's a shot. And it's not an offensive foul type of a shot. So he deserved actually a 2-shot foul on that play.
Well, let's move on to our next clip, which is Portland versus the San Antonio Spurs. And Thomas wants to know, was Aldridge fouled in the post by Splitter on his shot fake or not? Was it verticality? And Ronnie, what are you seeing here?
When you look at this play right here, as you see it from the view that most TV cameras give us, the play looks like Splitter was great with vertical arms, body vertical, great defense, didn't swipe for the ball, made the shot tough, and of course Aldridge made it. But when you take that baseline camera, that is the view that the lead official has. He's got to focus on number 22, Splitter, and watch his movement. And then when you watch him, here's the subtlety of being up faked, coming forward, and then getting under, actually, Aldridge's shot. And the two angles that show that really show his continual movement forward into the shooter. Excellent call. And if this can refine the views of our fans, they would see that they must agree on the fact that this is a foul and you always are protecting shooters. Again, in this case, getting under him on his way down as well.
Thank goodness we had those replays because you can really see it on both the baselines, on the far baseline and the near baseline, the same angle the referee had on the baseline. The question here is it seems to me that play happens a lot, and I feel like the referees get that call right a lot of the time.
The bottom line is the officials learn from the players, and with certainly supervisory help and developmental help and training, you begin to see the subtleties of the game that probably weren't always considered years ago as the game began to evolve to a better place.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to our last clip, which is the OKC versus LA Clippers Game 2. Now, the context here is that the Clippers won pretty convincingly in Game 1. And obviously, there's rumblings about the notion of not, if the Clippers were to win the second game in OKC, then the series is over. And that's not what people want. So then you have to wonder, like, when a play like this happens, with Chris Paul getting a blocking foul at half court, a lot of people were out there screaming and yelling, and Young Thought as well was questioning how this possibly could be a call on Chris Paul, who is their most important player.
Well, here's the good news. The good news is that it's very early in the game. I think this is a reactionary play. First of all, first and foremost, no official wants to be in the path of any player anywhere on the floor. And this kind of just jumps out of him. It's like it birthed itself right out of the court floor and jumped all over the official. But the bottom line is, as the players get closer to you, especially when you're subjected to being on the floor with them, and positions in the trail can have that happen, you've got to really learn to not always go to the sideline. You can see something coming in a direction, take the other angle, and go onto the floor, and then follow the two players down the court. Now, to the official's credit, he may have seen a forearm extended by Paul early on, and that forearm is an impeding forearm. It also is a rerouted forearm that would take Westbrook to the sideline and out of bounds. So if he really thought that was something, and I think he did, okay, he makes the call. If it's nothing, and he was part of being banged up as a part of the floor, then with some intestinal fortitude, he's got to come out and say, Westbrook, you're out of bounds. Ball belongs, to the Clippers. And he might have got a lot of catcalls and boos for being in the, it's so seldom an official is in the way, but it happens. So you eat that up, that's part of officiating, and you make the decision. In this case, he really felt there was a blocking foul because of the extended forearm. I can see that. And if he'd have gone the other way and gave the ball back to the Clippers, on this steal play, I certainly would have gone with that. It takes intestinal fortitude in either case because you're genuinely trying to get the call right for what you see. And if that's what he saw, that's it. But it did jump all over him.
Right, and just remember, the viewers, that the referee is part of the floor. So no matter what part is in the play, if he's in bounds and the ball hits him, then the ball is in bounds. And likewise, if he's out of bounds and the ball hits him, he is simply part of the floor.
It's a trade trick to know the game a little bit, to know how to get out of the way and still be in the play. I think the officials still continue to need to learn the old two-man protocol system on the strong side. We're trail and leader on the strong side. And when he is on the strong side, there are times when you really are on the floor. And you have to realize that in order to be a good official in the trail, you've got to be on the floor in certain times. And when you are, you got to recognize that a fast break can actually go past you if necessary as you follow it from behind, then to interrupt it. And I think that movement still needs to be taught as to when you're on the floor, when you're off the floor, and then upon a fast break, which way to go. You got to have a sense of feel of the game to know how do I get out of the stampede.
Absolutely, and there's actually footwork involved this too as well, because you need to go from a standstill to a pivot and go the other direction quickly, even if it's not involving a collision. So I think it's another level that you're giving us that we don't realize that officials need to work on their footwork as well. Otherwise, we would see guys falling down a lot probably as they're trying to trip themselves to get around and get back down the court.
Yeah, and by the way, you need that footwork because a lot of the officials that are not as refined as they should be will always go and hide to the sideline. And sometimes that takes them out of the play. So this is a very capable official. He just kind of thought as he backpedaled that he would eventually get out of the way. But, you know, the guys are fast. And we don't have to tell you about how quick from one end to the other Russell Westbrook is, or the side-to-side ability of a Chris Paul. So he sees an opening, Russell Westbrook, and no matter how small it is, he thinks he can get through it. You got to realize that at the speed of a player like him.
Well, just as quick as Russell Westbrook is, this show is coming to an end very quickly, unfortunately. But terrific stuff, Ronnie. Again, we'll have some other amazing plays coming up that we can go through. So make sure that you guys keep submitting those calls via Twitter with the hashtag #CourtCall. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?
I'm in, Coach. Great to be with you again.